World Horse Welfare has 16 field officers who are located throughout the United Kingdom. Their role on a day-to-day basis is basically threefold. Their main role is to investigate cruelty or neglect of horses anywhere in the country. Their secondary role is to do home checks for the loan horses that we send out on loan. And thirdly, if everything else fails and we have to go to court, we will go to court and give evidence with the RSPCA to make sure that people are held to account. A member of the public will ring our welfare line at our head office in Snetterton in Norfolk, and all the details will be taken down by our office staff. That message will then be relayed to us in our areas, and we will then go out into the field and investigate all the welfare concerns that have been brought to our attention. In most cases, the field officer will be able to speak to the owner, give advice. We hope that the advice is then taken. If necessary, we will monitor or revisit to ensure that the advice has been taken. If all else fails, then steps may have to be taken to insist, and sometimes legal avenues have to be taken to ensure that the horses are looked after correctly. That doesn't happen in many cases, and we try not to do that if we possibly can, but in the majority of cases the public do listen to us and the horses' welfare is upheld. We were alerted to a case of 5 ponies in Derbyshire recently, and when we arrived at the scene I found 2 Welsh ponies which were overweight, not obese but certainly fat. There was 2 Shetland ponies, both overweight, and one definitely was suffering with laminitis. We find that it's a difficult thing to tackle because most people who have fat horses, it's because they're giving them too much feed or they're letting them have massive. This particular field we're looking at today must be 20, 30, 40 acres, and they've got free roam of the whole field. And I would say that these 4 ponies and a donkey have just literally been out here all summer eating 24 hours a day, never stopping, never drawing breath. And we're finding more and more it's the people who are just leaving their horses for, say, the whole summer in a field, and it's getting worse and worse. Some people will ride ponies and horses once or twice a week and think they're working them quite hard, but generally we do find this more and more, that ponies are just left in a field for the whole of the summer. Sometimes it rectifies itself in the winter as nature intended, but generally then the owner starts to feed them even more because it's winter time. So it's a never-ending cycle, and we find it more and more that the horses are getting fatter and staying fat all year round, and that obviously leads to massive problems. Once we've identified the problem and we know further action has got to be taken, we will then try and knock on doors locally, farms, local houses, try and find out who the owner is. In a lot of cases, we will be able to find the owner living nearby because most people like to have their animals nearby to them. Some occasions we may have to leave a card attached to the gate saying, could they please ring us as soon as they see this note, and we will then speak to them on the phone and arrange to meet them at a later date. Well, my name is David Boyd. I'm a field officer with World Horse Welfare. I phoned the owner up, and luckily the owner was local and could be with me within 10 minutes. So they came down to the field. We walked into the field and looked at all 5 animals, and a long discussion was ensued. And basically what happened was this particular owner was absolutely brilliant and listened to everything we had to say. So we talked about the problems with the 2 ponies that were fat, and the link between obesity and laminitis, and also weight bearing on the limbs, lungs, heart, and associated problems. But if they get any worse, you are talking big problems. And it'd be such a shame because they are really nice yes. Ponies.
Oh, yeah.
How long have you had them?
Those we've had 2 years.
All right. She was unaware of the problem that could arise from having an overweight pony and was very keen to put it right. So what I actually gave her was a series of leaflets. 2 of them were about laminitis, one of them was about the causes and treatments, and the other one was how to feed a pony with laminitis. What you're looking for is, you see how, like we call it, the apple bottom there. She took all this on board, and I left her that day, went back 3 days later and was absolutely thrilled to see that both the Welsh ponies had muzzles on. She was actually lunging one of the Welsh ponies when I arrived to try and get some of the weight off and to use it. The other one was being ridden. The Shetland ponies, one had had his feet trimmed, the other one, unfortunately, due to the laminitis, had to be put to sleep, which is a sad, but it is no longer suffering, which is obviously what we would like to happen. The donkey had his feet trimmed, and the lady was extremely pleased that we'd given her this knowledge to make her ponies' lives better. If any member of the public sees a horse that they are concerned about, my advice would be to phone our welfare line, which is 08000 480 180, and report your findings to our office. We have 4 girls in the office who will take your calls. If, for instance, it's in the middle of the night, just leave a message on our answer phone. We'll get straight back to you in the morning. The girls will take the messages from you and then relay it directly to us. We will be there as quickly as we physically can and try and solve the problem.